Hello, my name is Aaron. This is my Anatomy 4 presentation. This is about the respiratory system and how it works, which is to take the oxygen and to expel carbon dioxide waste from the body, allowing exercise to continue. The main organ of this system is the lungs. The structure of the respiratory system has 7 parts. The first being the nasal cavity. This is the first step in the respiratory system. This has the most important role of getting the air into the system to allow the body to function. The air enters through the nostrils. These nostrils contain cilia, which filter the air. These also have mucus on them and make sure that it is clean, therefore meaning there is no dust going to the system that could make a person ill. This is done by the mucus, which contains antibacterial enzymes which kill bacteria. The next is the epiglottis. This is centered in the throat. This is the flap of cartilage at the top of the larynx. It covers the esophagus when breathing, ensuring that no air goes into the esophagus and to the stomach. When eating and drinking, the epiglottis covers the trachea. This is important because otherwise food or drink would go to the lungs, making the person cough. The pharynx is the tube that connects the nasal cavity and the larynx, allowing the air to pass through safely. This ensures that the oxygen needed for the person is supplied effectively down the larynx to continue the respiration. The larynx, also known as the voice box, is important. This has an important function of keeping the airway open, ensuring that both air and food go down the correct channels, allowing the body to function effectively. This is made of cartilage, giving the shape of the box. The next one is the structure of the lungs. The trachea is also known as the windpipe. It is a long tube linking from the larynx down to the bronchi. This is shown on the diagram where the windpipe is split into 2 separate tubes. Inside the trachea are rings of cartilage. These keep the pipe open so that the airflow getting to the lungs so respiration can happen. The bronchus are where the split from the trachea. They have a function of splitting the air equally into each lung, allowing respiration to continue. Bronchioles, what are the branch from the bronchus, these lead the air to the alveoli so that diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide can happen. These are 2 bronchioles in the left lung and 3 bronchioles in the right lung. The lobes are the part inside the lung. These act as air sacs, keeping the lung inflated at all times. They also have the function of maintaining the ability to breathe. This is because if one of the lobes became infected, then the other lobes would be able to continue the function. There are 3 lobes in the right lung and 2 lobes in the left. The pleural membrane is the layer on the outside of the lungs. This has the function of preventing any friction around the outside of the lungs. This also keeps the lungs airtight, keeping them at work in the best way possible. Partial pleura is the outermost of the membranes. It covers the outside of the lung, making sure that there is no friction present between other organs and muscles around the lungs. This therefore prevents any pain to the athlete during breathing. The pleural cavity, this is the space between the 2 membranes where the pleural fluid is stored. Next, the pleuratic cavity. This is the name for the chamber in which the respiratory organs sit within. It has the function of protecting the entire chest using the abdominal cavity and the diaphragm. This is important as it lessens the likeliness of injury or bruising to the lungs. Visceral pleura is the innermost of the pleural membranes. It covers the surface of the lung, giving it protection. This means that harmful substances have no opportunity to get into the lungs from the outside. The pleural fluid is the lubricant between the 2 pleural membranes. it has the function of making sure that whilst breathing, the lungs can naturally slide over one another, keeping breathing easy for the person. Alveoli, these are the small air sacs which are essential for breathing for a person. This allows the gaseous exchange in the lungs, and this gets rid of the carbon dioxide and gets oxygen into the blood, ready to supply the muscles, allowing the exercise to continue. Next is the breathing muscles. These are muscles used for respiration, but I'll explain these further in another slide. Next, the capacity of the lungs. Your respiratory rate is the amount of air you breathe in 1 minute. These are a number of different respiratory volumes. These include tidal volume, which are the amount of air which enters your lungs during normal inhalation at rest. The average tidal volume is 500 millilitres. However, only 2/3 of the intake only ever reaches the alveoli. The inspiratory reserve volume, the amount of extra air that inhaled above tidal volume during a deep breath. This is especially important during exercise, as this volume increases due to you requiring more oxygen. Residual volume is the amount of air left in the lungs after maximum inhalation. Air is always left in the lungs to prevent the lungs from collapsing. Next, the vital capacity. The maximum amount of air that can be forced out of the lungs. The average is around 4,800 millilitres. Total lung capacity. This is the vital lung capacity combined with the residual volume. This means that this is the indication of the total amount of air that the lungs can hold. The average for this is the volume 6,000 millilitres. Neural control, breathing, is a very complex process involving lots of neurons. Neurons in 2 areas of the medulla are critical in respiration. These two are the dorsal respiratory group and the ventral respiratory group. The second group is thought to be the part responsible for making the rhythm that the heart beats to. Next is the chemical. Other factors that control breathing are continually changing levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide. These are the sensors which respond to such chemical fluctuations, which are called chemoreceptors. These are usually found in the aortic arc and carotid arteries. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped sheet of muscle found below the lungs. It forms the floor of the thorax and divides the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. The diaphragm is the major muscle involved in the process of breathing. When the diaphragm contracts, it releases the volume of thoracic cavity. This action draws the air into the lungs during inhalation. Relaxation involves recoil of the diaphragm and decreases the volume of the chest cavity. This action pumps air out of the body. The intercostal muscles are a group of muscles that run between the ribs. Their job is to help form and move the chest wall. They expand and shrink the size of the chest to help you breathe and exhale with the least amount of resistance possible.